Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, in the studio. It's Wednesday, and the number 6 college football team in the country faces off a very tough hombre this weekend. Your thoughts on that game on Saturday?
This is a very interesting test, Mike, because you wonder where teams really stand. Is Missouri really number 6 in the country? They haven't played anybody. And is Boston College really number 24? Boston College plays in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They were expected to be an also-ran, and here they are 2-0 with, a good win to start out with over Georgia Tech, and that was a very, very nice win. And a win over Florida State, hey, that's pretty good. Anyway, it's Mizzou and Boston College, and they play late Saturday morning up in Columbia, and that Saturday morning's all engineered by TV, of course. And it's Missouri by a 16.5-point margin. That seems to me to be a little bit much. Now, the Tigers have scored, and nobody has scored on the Tigers in the first 2 games this year. But it's Murray State and Buffalo. These aren't real tough competitions. Let's see what Boston College can do, because they have a very good QB. And this is interesting. 16.5 points, and the over-under is up around 50, somewhere in that vicinity. This is a big test.
You're trying to tell us something. You're trying to tell us a little secret there, aren't you?
Well, at first I thought this is a walkover. Missouri will win this one big. Now I'm not so sure. But I think it'll be a very interesting contest and one to keep your eye on.
On the same token, my Wildcats are taking on Arizona Friday night, and it's kind of the same deal. K-State's 14th and Arizona's 20th, so we'll see if those teams are actually in those spots right now.
I think that game's in Manhattan, isn't it?
I think it's...
Or is it in Tucson?
No, it isn't. It is at K-State. Yeah.
In Manhattan, under the lights.
That'll give them a little bit of an edge, I think.
Oh, no. A big edge.
Yeah, but still, it's like you said, in regards to the Tigers, it's, at this point, you're real happy about your team, but you really haven't had any tears yet.
Interestingly enough, Boston College on the schedule. Missouri hadn't played them in many, many years. You know who they replace on Missouri's schedule? K-State.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Can't wait. NASCAR race playoffs continue this weekend at Watkins Glen on Sunday. After the first round was last weekend, right? Who's
Correct.
in the lead?
Mm-hmm. This is race number 2, and Watkins Glen, as everybody knows, one of the world-famous courses, is a road racing course. That means it's a different style of racing. They'll have the NASCARs out there. That's what it is, stock car, but it's a different style and takes a different technique. Well, this is the playoffs. This is race 2 in the 10-race playoff, and the winner of the playoffs at the end is the top points earner for the entire season, and that includes the playoff points. So where you had Joey Logano win last week in Atlanta in that first race, he's not on top. Only 12 drivers, the field was cut from 16 last week. Only 12 drivers are in the hunt. That doesn't mean nobody else is driving. They have full fields of drivers. It's only those, that 12 now, who are eligible for the points championship and the big prize. And at the moment, Ryan Blaney is the points leader. Christopher Bell is second. Tyler Reddick is third. The reigning champion, the guy from last year, Kyle Larson, who won everything in sight, is number 10. He's still very much in the hunt, and he's still very dangerous to those other drivers. He's a good driver. He incidentally is going to race Indy and at the Coke 600 all on the same day. He's going to do that next year.
Man, that's going to be a tough day, and he's probably going to need a week off just to sleep after that. Speaking of which, you're going to need a couple days off after your tailgating this Saturday. Bears kick off their home opener win.
They kick it off on Saturday evening. This is the only home night game that they're playing. 6 o'clock, playing Lindenwood, which is a Division I AA ball club, relatively new to NCAA sports. But Lindenwood's located in St. Charles, Missouri. They played 2 games. They lost both of them. One to KU, opened up with KU, and KU ran them out of the ballpark as expected. And then the second game was Central Arkansas, which is a very good football team. They beat Lindenwood 34-13 last week. So Lindenwood comes in 0-2, but so are the Bears, 0-2. This is a big one for Missouri State. I think they can win it. 6 o'clock starting time at Plaster.
The Kansas City Royals on their road trip east are definitely a lot better after last night.
They were looking for number 80, and they got it with a shutout. Shut out the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium 5-0. And who gets it? but the ageless Seth Lugo. And this guy's pushing 35 years old, has been nothing more than a journeyman for his entire, I mean that as an insult, that's what he's been, a journeyman pitcher. Came over to the Royals this year, and here he is winning 15, 16 games in the season. He's had just an unbelievable year. He shuts out the Yankees through 7. He struck out 10. Now, this is the New York Yankees.
35-year-old dude.
And he's shutting them out. Aaron Judge up there, and just all of these big sluggers who they have, and he is blanking them. And in the meantime, who is getting the RBIs for the Kansas City Royals? That's right, Salvador Perez, not a kid himself. Let's hear it for the old timers.
Yeah, I love what Salvador's
anyway,
done for that
it was
team
5-0 win for the Royals. Number 80, still not in first place, but 3.5 games back of the Guardians. Maybe not catch them, but certainly right now very much in the wild card.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I read an interesting tidbit the other day about Bobby Witt and Aaron Judge, because Aaron's like a little 50 or a little above, and Bobby Witt's at like 30 this year because of the differences in the parks. If, for example, Aaron Judge had been a Royal, he would have only hit 38 home runs this year. If Bobby Witt Jr. had been a Yankee, he would have also hit 38 home runs this year. Isn't that interesting?
Well, it also figures into the mix, too, and I'll tell you why, too. And you've heard the old slogan, Yankee Stadium. Well, this is the new Yankee Stadium, but it's built exactly the same as the one that's no longer standing right across the street. Same dimensions, same everything. That old Yankee Stadium, when they built it, was called the house that Ruth built. It was really the house built for Ruth. And this is the house built for Aaron Judge and a lot of these other big sluggers. Very small outfield barrier. You can clear it, I can't say easily because it's a big league home run, but nonetheless, it's not the most difficult park in the world. He does have 50 with the Royals. He probably would have mid-30s somewhere around there. My vote, if I had one, would go to Bobby Witt Jr. He's done everything for the Royals. He is the MVP without question.
Yeah, we'll see. What about the St. Louis Cardinals? How'd they do?
Here's a microcosm of the St. Louis Cardinals. They're losing 3-0 to a mediocre team, the Cincinnati Reds, last night. Get to the 9th inning. And, Mike, the Cardinals load the bases with nobody out. And they don't score. 3-0 final. Reds win. Out on the West Coast, the Milwaukee Brewers beat the San Francisco Giants. The Cardinals are 11 games out of first place with 18 games remaining and about 6.5 to 7 out of the wild card berth. Not going to say so long yet because it's mathematically possible for them, but the odds are overwhelming against them being in the postseason.
Well, we do know there is a Cardinals team in the postseason, and that's the Springbirds, and that's coming up pretty quick, too.
They opened this final series of the regular season last night down in San Antonio. They have nothing to play for other than keeping the rhythm going into the playoffs, and they did. 7-3 win over the San Antonio Missions, who aren't a very good team, but nonetheless, Springfield stayed right with it, kept focus, got some good hits. They are pitching so very well, and that's what encourages me. Now, the playoffs for the Cardinals begin next Tuesday, and that'll begin on the road. That's the formula they use, playing the Arkansas Travelers on the road in Little Rock. Take the next day off, and then a week from tomorrow night, they would be here for Game 2, and the next night for Game 3, excuse me, if it's necessary. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Springfield is a very good baseball team.
Be nice for a lot of the Cardinals fans to get some action in the postseason from one of their teams. Last but not least, we discussed some of the odds for the Mizzou game on Saturday. Are there any odds of so many other marquee games that we need to know about?
There's a really big one, and this is the second week in a row now that the Southeastern Conference has played a Big Ten Conference team. Last week it was Texas against Michigan, and it was Texas. I won't say it was a blowout, but pretty close to it, 31-13. This week it is Alabama. And where does Bama go? Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin, to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. This is a huge intersectional collision. Both teams, I think Alabama's probably better, but the Crimson Tide on the road with a big crowd, they'll have
Madison.
Well, in Michigan, Texas faced 109,000. Didn't
Also
bother
true.
them at all.
Also
But
true.
with Alabama going to Wisconsin, they'll face about 75, 80, 85,000 folks at Camp Randall Stadium, all wearing Wisconsin red. And we'll see how Alabama reacts to that.
You ever been to Madison during the college?
I
Man.
visited Madison when I was in the service because it's not too far from Great Lakes.
Yeah, that town just shuts. It's like Fayetteville; it just completely shuts down, and it is insanity. I'm glad I stayed clear of there. I would have never graduated college. Ned, you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.